Trying to avoid him finding out until my son accidentally got drunk with him and showed him my YouTube videos. So now the cat's out of the bag. So I decided I would just use my real name, which is Carolyn. So I do comedy with that now. I am new to the Miles City area. I came here from Colorado. I lived there for 20 plus years. I even did a winter in Casper and one in Billings. So I thought I was prepared for winter came. Fuck no. I don't know what I was thinking because it was not what I should have been thinking. I woke up one morning and asked Siri or asked Alexa what temperature was outside. Actually, it's the wind chill because honestly in the winter temperature doesn't matter. It's the wind chill that counts. And she said negative 40 degrees. I paused and yelled, Dusty, Alexa's broken. But no, shit, it's really negative 40 degrees. And the high that day was negative 13. I don't know what I was thinking. My internet was freezing. My fucking serotonin froze. Trying to do online therapy was so depressing. Because you're like in the middle of a heart-wrenching moment where you're telling her like a really deep, ugly, dark secret you don't want anybody to know. You're letting that demon out of the box. And then she freezes with the most fucked up, no poker face look on her face. And you don't know if she's frozen or if you've just gone too far. You're like, oh fuck, I broke my therapist. So you keep going because you don't know. And then you realize when you're all done that, no, she was frozen. And you're like, shit, I gotta say that all over again. But you know, she is an amazing therapist and I really do appreciate her. Without her, I wouldn't be where I am today. She's very understanding. She makes it very clear if I ever get arrested for something, she's more than willing to go to court to let him know, yeah, I figured it was going to happen eventually. Let's be grateful she didn't kill the little shit. Perfect example. Someone stole our gnome off our front porch, and I witnessed it. I have PTSD. I'm a military vet. So I watch it, I walk outside, I see the kid running, and I start to immediately be like, fuck, just one more thing taken. And then I go inside and look at Dusty, and I was like, Dusty, they stole your gnome. And then something clicked in my head. That wasn't a good click, because I didn't just walk after these kids, I ran after them, yelling like I was some 17-year-old street thug from West Palm Beach. Oh, come here, you little bitch. I fucking got you. And I caught up with them. But I caught up with them about a block early, so I kind of like slowed down so that way I wouldn't be out of breath. So when I crept up on them, it'd be scary as shit because I'm short. So I catch my breath and I walk up behind him. I'm like, I got you, bitch. And that fucker jumped 8 feet in the air, turned around. I thought he was going to piss himself for a second. I was venting and raving at him and telling him, I know you got my fucking gnome. And he's like, want to look at my bag? And I'm like, fucking do. So I looked in his bag and all I did was get sad for him because it was sad. And then I kept getting more in his face about it, telling him I want my fucking gnome. He's like, I didn't take your gnome, bitch. I'm like, the fuck you didn't? I watched you take my fucking gnome. Give me my motherfucking gnome. Right about then, Dusty finally catches up with me, which is a good thing because I fucking launched. And not just at a cray-cray launch, I had a fucking plan. I knew if I could get him on the ground, by his ankles, of course, because that's the closest thing to me. Couple of pounds in the face with motivational love, you know, like, fucking stay in school. Go do something with yourself, you little fuck. And by the time his girlfriend made it to me, I'd be able to sweep her feet out from underneath her, give her a couple of pounds. Same motivational love. I think they need it. But Dusty grabbed me and spun around and started to walk away with me. And I'm still yelling and screaming, give me my fucking gnome, bitch. And then he made the mistake of thinking it was over when I stopped squirming. And then he set me back down. And I launched again. And this time they started to run. So Dusty finally grabbed me and carried me away because I was all screaming at him, I got nothing better to do. I will go to jail today. So long story short, I got my fucking gnome back. They threw it over a fence, so I went back and we got our gnome back. And I yelled at them not to ever walk in front of my fucking house again. They don't. I watched them in the winter trudge through the snow in the alley in the back. I was like, huzzah, I feel very powerful right now. Because for all they knew, some short little girl was running her fucking mouth. They don't know my age. I'm only 4'10". I thought that was amazing. Stand-up moment for myself. I told my therapist all about it, and she was so proud of me for not making contact. And we decided to leave it at that, and that's our moment. One other thing I've learned out here in Miles City, and I'm going to do this one now because there's not many people here. I'm going to make an ass of myself. I am from Texas, but it's oil country. I didn't know cows had teeth till the Breeders' Cup. Dusty took me down there and we're walking along and I see the cattle and I'm like, oh my gosh, they have teeth. So I go running over to Dusty and I'm like, holy shit, did you know cows have teeth? And he looked at me and went, what? And I thought he just didn't hear me. So I said it slower, did you know cows have teeth? And he's like, yes, I knew that. You didn't know that? And at that point, I realized this is not new knowledge to people. So I'm like, don't say it so loud, they'll know. And he's like, everybody knows now. I was telling some new friends of mine this story. And I asked them a question because one of them works in the cattle field. So I was like, I have a serious question. People who I know who show dogs brush their dog's teeth before the show. These cattle's teeth were so fucking white. Do they brush their teeth before the show? When they got done laughing and drying their eyes, they were like, no, Carolyn, they just don't smoke or drink coffee. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. So now every time I drive past cows, I'm like, oh my God, look, they have teeth. And then to add insult to injury, I found out a week ago they're born with the teeth. They don't grow in. Yeah, I know, and I can walk and breathe at the same time, believe it or not. I mentioned before I was a vet. I was in the Navy.
Thank you.
You are welcome. You actually have to be 5'2" to join the military. So I actually had to have a height waiver because I'm only 4'10" and 3/4 inches. And that 3/4 is very important because when you go to get your driver's license or something and you give them the 3/4, it gives them the option of whether or not to round up for you, so you're not really lying about it. And then there's a few that really round down and make me 4'10", and that's depressing because I've also recently found out that the legal size for a midget is 4'10" and not 4'8" like I thought it was. So that 3/4 is all I've got to keep me from being a real little person. It's important to me. So if you are looking up here and thinking, dude, she's cute because she's child size, you don't need my number, you need a therapist. You might be a pedophile. My favorite thing about boot camp was the showers. I mean, think about it. That's 86 girls all at once in the shower. That is 172 titties, just in case you were trying to do the math. I was, yeah, exactly. If you think about it, I'm boob height. I can't look up. That's waterboarding. I can't look down. That's reverse waterboarding with shampoo. So I got 8 weeks to stare at 172 titties. I was the first one in, last one out. Hygiene is important in the Navy. No, actually it's the acronyms. I love military acronyms. CYA, cover your ass. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. And the one that gets me in trouble with a lot of women in the civilian world is cunt. Can't understand normal thinking. So it's an acronym, not a word. It's non-binary, but getting overworked about it certainly does make it look suspicious. Another phrase I don't like, pull out or quick withdrawal. Because whenever I hear that, I think everybody left disappointed. For once, I would like us to come up with a phrase where it seems like when we leave a country, everybody's like, you know, I got mine. And I didn't leave with a disease. I'm cool. I know that's asking a lot, though. I am excited that women can now do almost anything in the Navy as the men can. Except for I don't think we should be on submarines. I really think there's a line there. We can't even go out to sea for 6 weeks without a girl getting knocked up. You can't put men and women under a sub. Underwater, we'll be popping up every 2 weeks because a woman's pregnant. You can't put all women on the ship because then the only ones coming back up are the ones in menopause. We're just going to sit back and laugh as we watch all the bleeders kill each other, thinking and talking to each other, going, hey, remember when we used to care that much? Should we do something about it? Nah, fuck it, we learned. Exactly. I've also come to a point now, because I'm in menopause, full on. I know, no, actually, I find it hysterical, to be honest. I realize that we bleed, we sweat, and then we die. That is the cycle of our life. We are dying from the inside out, slowly. Why men can stay fertile and knock women up until their late 70s. That's fair. But you know, if you think about it, their prostate gland, their G-spot's in their ass. So, I mean, I guess there's a fair, and then God was like, don't touch it.
So much fun.
Is that why pagans are so happy? Because they don't mind if their girlfriend does a little tickle.
Or their boyfriend.
Exactly. Either way, somebody's fucking happy in that relationship. I'm starting to wonder that for men, and I started doing a survey on this. I'm literally asking random men on the street this. I'm beginning to think that there's one thing that men can either hear the word or see them, and it turns their day around. Boobies. See, every male out here just smiled and grinned a little. You can't help it. I've put it to the test. Dusty's told me what a shitty day he's having, rough start, everything's going wrong. I just sent a cleavage shot, and I liked the boobies back, and his whole day was much better. He came home so happy and excited because he knew on the other side of that door there was boobies. But the thing is, women, you do have to show them once they get home. Otherwise, it kind of non-negotiates what you just did. They don't have to play with them because honestly, they don't always. Half the time, they're just happy if they get a little. They're like, oh, boobies, what do you need me to do, honey? Now I lost my train of thought of where I was because I started talking about boobies, and boobies does that to me too.
Another one of those things from menopause.
Oh yeah, that's right. We forget our what's that memory word thing with menopause. It has nothing to do with the marijuana at all. No. I do have a 25-year-old son. He's out the door. He moved out easily, no failure to launch there. He moved all the way to Durango, Colorado to make sure my ass couldn't come visit. And my friends would call me and go, how the hell did you get him out of the door? Hold on, we're gonna let the train go by.
Oh, you could really pick it up a little bit.
Well, that's not too bad now. It's just his train part. They asked me how I got him out the door because they're still in the basement drinking White Claw and playing Call of Duty on their PlayStation. I said simple, I beat him when he was little. The truth actually is I was just very involved. I wasn't a helicopter parent or like a butt plug constantly up his ass. Speaking of butt plugs, have you seen these new butt plugs that light up? I think they would be amazing for night walking or night jogging. Simply for safety reasons. It doesn't have to be sexual unless you want it to be. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to yuck your yum. It's just a safety thought. I used to volunteer in his kindergarten class, and that's when I realized that even though that supply list is long, there needs to be one more thing added on there. Booze. And I think that the amount of booze you have to supply for the teacher should depend on your child's grades. And I don't mean like academic grades, I mean the behavioral ones. Because even that straight A student can be the biggest pain in the ass, making her want to go home and do shots. I think that ought to be added. That ought to make them a lot happier. One time when I went to go volunteer in his class, I had a teacher from behind me ask me for my hall pass. I turned around and handed her my driver's license, and I was like, will this do? I'm not sure. I didn't know I needed a hall pass. She thought I was a 6th grader. That was rude. Well, this is going to be part of my break. I will be doing more later tonight. So hang out, have fun, find out what else happens with my child, because I have a lot of bits about him that are hysterical, and later stuff about Dusty that'll make you never look at him the same again.